Put simply, the status of women in Islam is that she is honored by God. She doesn't need anybody else to come and honor her. She doesn't need a status in society to honor her. She doesn't need physical beauty to honor her. She doesn't need approval from men or anyone else in society to honor her. But Allah has honored her. And Allah says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, that the most honored of you in the sight of Allah are those who are most righteous. He who is most righteous. So it's the taqwa of the woman that honors her, just like it's the taqwa of a man. So we as Muslims, we know that the honor of a woman is not linked to how she looks, in contrast to the societies that we live in. Right? Because we live in societies, I live in a society, you live in a society that judges women and puts their worth based on how they look and based on how much skin they show. This is, you just have to look around at magazines and billboards to understand this. We as Muslims, we know that Allah has honored the woman by freeing her from that type of, it's a form of servitude, it's a form of slavery, because she doesn't need these things to honor her. That her honor comes from her righteousness and the beauty of her soul and her heart, not from her external beauty, not from being a certain size or a certain skin color. In terms of how does she find empowerment or liberation, there's a statement, very, very profound statement that one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ said when he was coming to give da'wah to one of the cities. He said, I have come to free you from the servitude to the slave and bring you to the servitude of the Lord of the slave. Very profound. This is where a woman finds empowerment. In this statement is the secret. That a woman is freed, and a man, from the servitude to any other master, to any other definition of her self-worth other than God. So whatever defines for me who I am and what my worth is and how I live and why I live becomes a master to me. So there are different masters that women have taken on, and one of them has been this idea of physical beauty, being attractive for men, how do you look? True empowerment is when you are no longer a slave to any of those things. Not to fashion, not to beauty, not to style, not to men, not to anything, not to the creation. But instead, you are only a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the way, that's the concept of hijab, isn't it? Because hijab, Allah tells us to dress in a certain way. When a woman dresses in that way, she is saying very loudly, she is making a statement. She is saying that my master is God. It isn't your fashion trend. It isn't what you think of me. It isn't being beautiful for men. It isn't being on display. It's God. And God told me to dress this way, so I choose Him. I choose Him over any other standard. So it's a very, very strong statement. And it's a statement of servitude to God, and in that way, you free yourself. So it's freedom. It's freedom from any other slave, any other master, and it's true empowerment and liberation.